Hello, my name is Dr. Bayo, and I am an anthropologist by training, and I am an associate professor in Africana Studies at the University of Arizona in the United States.
Okay, good. Let me start with Africana Studies. What is Africana Studies?
Well, Africana Studies is an academic unit at the University of Arizona, and which you also find in other universities in the U.S. that focus on the experience of the peoples of Africa and those in diaspora, that is, their descendants throughout the world.
Okay, yeah, let's pick up on that term diaspora. So yeah, what is diaspora?
Diaspora simply refers to that population of African descended peoples that live outside of the continent of Africa. And most of them are in North and South America by way of the transatlantic slave trade that happened in the 16th through the 19th centuries.
Okay.
And you also have them in other parts of the world.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't know most of them were in the Americas, huh? Okay, yeah, let's start with the transatlantic slave trade. I myself am from Virginia, the Commonwealth, which was maybe the first permanent English settlement in the New World. And we learned in school, and I don't know how true this is, so I would like you to kind of set me straight on this, but we learned that the first Africans came, like in the New World, came to Jamestown in 1619, the early 17th century. Is that true?
That is correct. That refers to the first set of enslaved Africans that made their way into what is known today as the United States of America. But they had been brought, they have, prior to that time, at least about 100 years before that time, several shipments of enslaved Africans had been brought to the South Americans and the Caribbeans.
Okay.
But it was not until about that 1618, 1619 that the first set was brought to the Jamestown in the present continental United States.
I see. Okay. Is there any major difference between the ones that came to present-day United States and, as you said, the ones that came 100 years before to South America and the Caribbean?
No, not essentially. But what happens is that even those that came to the U.S., it was probably a segment of the population that had been to the South Americas and the Caribbeans, and from there they followed, or those who bought them or their owners and followed them into the U.S. But there were also direct shipment much later from the west coast of Africa directly to the United States. But before that time, majority came through South America and the Caribbeans, and eventually into the United States.
Okay, yeah, and so maybe the ones to South America and the Caribbean served as the model, set the precedent for that, maybe?
Yes, but the thing is, they did not have anything in terms of model. They were owned. It was what happened, especially in the New World, was a form of slavery that had never been seen in any part of the world before.
Okay.
It was chattel slavery,
meaning
property in person. And so that was how the model that was established in South America and in the Caribbean, and then into the continental United States.
Okay,
but the ones of the South America was not even as brutal as the one that existed in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really? But they're both chattel slavery.
Chattel slavery.
So, before I get into chattel slavery, how is it how is it more brutal in the United States?
Well, in South America especially, intermarriage and interracial relationship was allowed, and the children from such relationships were treated as free men and women of free people. Whereas in the United States, they say the one drop rule. If you have one drop of black in you, then you are regarded as black and
just completely separate and completely different from society.
Yes,
your place in society is
determined by that.
One
Whereas in the Caribbean and in South America, and it was also possible for an enslaved individual to regain their freedom by way of manumission, buying their freedom, or just being set free. In the case of the United States, it even became illegal for a slave owner to set free their own slave. They have to get permission from the government
to
petition for that. So they just make it very difficult for any individual who was enslaved to now transition into that of a free person.
I see. Okay, so the South American Caribbean model that is more loose that way, is that, I think it seems very similar to the way the natives, the Native Americans were integrated more into society, whereas in what became the United States, Native Americans were less likely to be part of the society also.
Yes, I would say yes. But in the case of the Native American populations, they were not actually integrated. Well, after the lands were taken, their livestock killed off, a good number of them killed off. Those that survived the genocide were now pushed to different corners.
That's what I mean. They were also kept apart from the mainstream society,
which we now call reservations.
Yes,
they call themselves nations today.
Okay. All right. So now let's go back to that term chattel. That means, and you were contrasting that with maybe an older form of slavery. What makes chattel slavery different from, I guess, slavery as a whole?
Well, slavery had been part of human society. It has been in existence in, way back as even during the Roman Empire, and all of those places. But what you will find is that enslaved peoples, some of them will eventually regain their freedom. The servile relationship, the elements of the servile relationship was completely different from that of chattel slavery. In the sense that once you are in that social category as a slave, you remain in that position till you die. And your offsprings also will inherit your status as slaves and also their offsprings. So that's the chattel slavery. And also the fact that they were just merely treated as properties under chattel slavery, meaning property that you could own by way of inheritance or buy or acquire, and which, just like any of your properties, if you are tired of it, you can dispose of it by including giving it away or even destroying it. Destroying it in this case we mean because you felt you are not happy with the behavior of a slave, such as a slave that engaged in rebellion, insurrection. You just feel like the best thing to do is to just kill them. And then as a slave owner, you have the right to do that because it is that enslaved individual is regarded as your property. Whereas in the ancient world, even slaves, enslaved peoples had their own rights. They had some rights, and and other forms of servile relationships like serfdom. So they are just very closely related.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome.